Have you ever heard of a tank from the 1940s that possessed armor tougher than even heavy tanks, firepower surpassing anti-tank guns, and speed as incredible as a medium tank? That's the IS-7. Let's explore this Cold War monster and find out why it was nicknamed the King of the IS-line. Don't miss the secrets of this super tank. IS-7, initially named Object 260, was developed after the failures of the IS-5 and IS-6 following a request for a new Soviet heavy tank. Designed by Nikolai Fedorovich Shashmurin, who had previously participated in the design of the IS-2 and KV-4, the IS-7 was considered the pinnacle of the Iosif Stalin heavy tank line. At the time of its creation, 1946 to 1948, with 7 prototypes built, the IS-7 was one of the most technologically advanced and heavily armored heavy tanks in the world. The idea for the IS-7 first took shape in December 1945 at Factory No. 100 in Leningrad, with a full-scale wooden mock-up produced shortly thereafter. Operational prototypes were ready for testing in 1946. These tests continued through 1947, concluding in 1948 when the designers believed they had finalized the design and officially named it IS-7. This final design was armed with a stabilized 130mm cannon featuring an autoloader, a total of 8 machine guns, infrared scopes, and armor up to 300mm thick. It was the largest tank the Soviet Union had ever produced. The IS-7 was designed to withstand the impact of shells fired by the 12.8cm Pak 44 gun mounted on the German Jagdtiger tank. Its armor was up to 300mm thick, with the pike nose front being particularly made from homogeneous steel. The upper armor plates were 150mm thick, angled at 60 degrees, while the lower glacis ranged from 100 to 120mm with a slight angle. The side armor was also significant. The upper hull side was 150mm thick, while the lower side measured 100mm and curved outwards, seamlessly meeting the upper hull. This bending of the lower hull was achieved using a large press, which forcefully shaped the metal. The gun mantlet was 350mm thick. The turret itself was cast, with the cheeks being the thickest part at 240 to 250mm. These were angled or curved at approximately 50 to 60 degrees. The turret's shape was very rounded and smooth all around, without any obvious shot traps or prominent cupola. There were slightly raised portions on the turret roof where the crew positions were located. The commander's station on the right was slightly higher than the gunner's on the left, and the tops of these raised sections had direct vision blocks. In a hull-down position, the turret would have been almost impenetrable. The armor proved resistant not only to the 12.8cm shells but also to the 130mm shells fired by the tank itself. The IS-7's main armament consisted of the 130mm S-70 gun, which was derived from a naval gun and had a barrel length of 54 calibers. This gun could fire a 33.4 kg shell at a muzzle velocity of 900 meters per second and was capable of penetrating up to 163mm of armor angled at 30 degrees at ranges of up to 2,000 meters. This tank utilized an automatic loading assistance device located in the turret bustle and operated by 2 loaders. The IS-7's ammunition was loaded in 2 separate parts, the propellant charge at the bottom and the projectile above. The system was operated by a crank handle that would first drop a projectile onto a conveyor belt in the center, followed by the propellant charge. The conveyor then carried the ammunition to the gun's breech for ramming. Afterward, the conveyor would lift clear of the gun, allowing it to fire, and the process would begin anew. Theoretically, this system provided a rate of fire of 6 to 8 rounds per minute. However, the actual operational rate might have varied due to the time required to reload the device. The tank carried 25 to 30 rounds and could technically be resupplied as it drew ammunition from various racks inside the vehicle. A drawback of this system was that the gun had to return to a neutral position for loading, requiring the gunner to re-aim after each shot. Manual loading was possible if the automatic mechanism failed. The IS-7 was equipped with a substantial secondary armament of 8 machine guns. 4 of these were 7.62mm SGS-43 machine guns mounted uniquely. 2 were fixed in armored boxes on both flanks of the hull towards the rear and were operated by the driver. These simple armored boxes had separate chutes for spent casings and belt links, with ammunition stored underneath. In addition to the 4 fixed 7.62mm SGS-43 machine guns in the hull, the IS-7 also had 2 similar machine guns fixed on the rear of the turret, positioned in a staggered manner to avoid the large ammunition chutes on the turret roof. Spent casings were ejected externally, while belt links were collected in metal boxes attached to the outside. It is believed that the gunner or one of the loaders would operate these guns based on aiming orders from the commander, who would direct the turret's left or right movement. The practical utility of these weapons is highly debatable, and it is uncertain whether they would have been included on production models, as some prototypes lacked the turret-mounted ones. The roof also housed a 14.5mm KPVT heavy machine gun on an anti-aircraft mounting that could be pivoted down to the left when not in use. Operating this gun required the gunner to stand on the engine deck. Tests to enable remote control by the commander were unsuccessful. The IS-7 featured 3 coaxial machine guns, 1 KPVT mounted above the main armament and 2 SGS-43s positioned on either side of it. The IS-7 was powered by the M50T 12-cylinder diesel engine, producing 1,050 horsepower, derived from a naval marine engine. It was paired with an 8-speed planetary gearbox. This powertrain enabled the 68-ton tank to reach a respectable top speed of 60 km per hour on roads when fully loaded. Spare diesel fuel could be stored in canvas pouches within compartments located towards the rear of the vehicle on each side. The tank's weight was distributed across 7 road wheels on each side. These wheels also supported the track return, as return rollers were absent in the design. Each road wheel was mounted on a road wheel arm, which in turn was connected to the torsion bar suspension system. The wheels featured internal rubber bushings to extend the service life of the all-metal wheels. The tracks of the IS-7 were among the first Soviet designs to incorporate retaining clips in the track link pins, eliminating the need for a metal wedge welded to the lower hull to secure the pins. After the initial factory tests, the IS-7 prototype tanks were handed over to the State Commission. The test drivers were reportedly very fond of the IS-7's handling, noting its ease of response to even the smallest adjustments. However, the trials were not without incident. During one of the tests, an IS-7 caught fire and was completely destroyed, despite the activation of both internal fire extinguisher systems. The fire was believed to have originated from the weight-saving plastic-lined canvas fuel tanks. Understandably, these were removed in later versions. Despite being well regarded and generally considered a good vehicle, the governing bodies declined to approve it for mass production. The official reasons for its rejection remain unknown. Consequently, the IS-7 never entered service, with its successor, the IS-8, later known as the T-10, proving to be a more adaptable vehicle better suited to the needs of the rapidly evolving battlefields. The T-10 served from 1953 to 1996. Only one IS-7, built in 1948, survives today and is currently on display at the Kubinka Tank Museum. While work on the IS-7 progressed, plans were also developed for a self-propelled gun variant based on the IS-7's hull. 3 versions were envisioned: Object 261 version 1, version 2, and version 3. The 261 version 1 featured a closed fighting compartment at the front of the vehicle and was armed with a 152mm M31 gun, similar in configuration to the ISU series. The Object 261 version 2 had a rear-mounted open fighting compartment. For this version and the subsequent one, the chassis was reversed, placing the drive wheels at the front. It was equipped with a long-barreled 152mm M48 gun and was later redesignated as Object 262. The Object 261 version 3 shared the same configuration as the Object 261 version 2 on Object 262 but was upgunned with the 180mm MU-1 gun, a naval derivative also known as the B-1P. Despite being self-propelled guns designed for behind-the-lines fire support, these vehicles were intended to be well armored, with armor ranging from 150 to 215 mm thick. However, these projects did not advance beyond the scale model phase. Object 263 was a tank destroyer variant built with a configuration similar to the Object 261, featuring a rear-mounted, semi-open fighting compartment. Its main armament was the 130mm S-70A gun, which used separately loaded ammunition and was a slightly modified version of the IS-7's gun. The frontal armor was up to 250 millimeters thick, consisting of a large, flat plate and 2 additional plates on either side of the gun mantlet. The side armor reached a thickness of 70 millimeters. Similar to the Object 261 version 2 and version 3, the IS-7 chassis was reversed for the Object 263, a configuration reminiscent of the British Archer tank destroyer. The driver's position was moved to the left of the gun. It remains unknown whether the Object 263 would have experienced the same issue of engine heat affecting barrel accuracy as the Archer. Like the Object 261 series, this vehicle never progressed beyond the small-scale model stage. IS-7, the king of the IS line from the 1940s, impresses with its super-thick armor, powerful firepower, and good mobility. Despite not being mass-produced, its advanced technology influenced later generations of tanks. What do you think about the IS-7? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating military history videos. Thank you for watching.